What can astrology reveal about the Obamas and the rumors that exist about them? Watch this video to find out. Welcome, folks. This is Dr. V, and on this channel, you get the astrology straight up and unadulterated on everything from the cosmic to the existential. And in this video, we're going to look at the charts of some pretty well-known people, the Obamas, and we're going to read and decode and find out whether the rumors that exist about them are true or not, what elements of truth there could be about those rumors. And we're going to see what the story is, because the astrology doesn't lie. The celestial charts, they don't lie, at least when it comes to the true intention of the soul, which is written in the charts upon the point of incarnation. Already the parameters exist for what this soul is going to do. Of course, there's freedom. We are free beings. We have free will until the last moment. But nonetheless, some of the parameters of the story are already pre-decided when you incarnate, and that's why they're written in the charts. Okay, so this being said, let's start with Barack Obama and look at his chart. Right, so when we look at the chart, obviously we've got here the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, which is the person who becomes a pillar of society by taking on a lot of responsibility and becoming this high status person over time, really, right? And that's constellated with the moon here in a trine with the Jupiter trine to moon, which means having this great reception with the people, right? The people bring a lot of sympathy and a lot of love for you and what you do. And then you've got the Mercury here, right, in Leo, which is the great speaker on the stage, that is also constellated in this constellation here, contributing to the rise to status and authority, and obviously also to the great effect that he has on the people. But this is not necessarily what I want to look at. This is stuff that everybody knows, and it's pretty easy to read in his chart. But there's also a darker side to Barack Obama, and that's what I want to focus on more. So with regards to this darker side, there is obviously the square here between Sun and Neptune, right? So Sun square Neptune is basically somebody who either gets involved in a lot of lies and confusion and deception, right? And then has to work those through. Or it could be somebody who's themselves the perpetrator of the lies and the deception, right? So this, I'm going to leave up to yourself and your own judgment to think about which one of those is the case with Barack Obama. But what's very telling is that when we look at the asteroids, we can add another layer to the story. And the asteroids here are the following. So with the sun, we've got Lucifer. The asteroid Lucifer is exactly on the sun. And we've got here the asteroid Antinous. So Antinous, it's an asteroid that's named after the gay lover of the Roman Emperor Hadrian. So it stands for gay relationship between men. And that's on the sun as well. The sun is the inner identity and is your inner and true personality. And obviously with the square to Neptune, there could be lies about these topics, right? The topics that are constellated here, there could be lies and deception, either that he's either a victim of or a perpetrator of, right? So now, adding to this, we also have here the Pluto with Mason Coal. Mason Coal stands for Freemasons, and right, Pluto stands for power and dark desires. Pluto with Mason Coal, okay, he has some partners who are very powerful Freemasons and Illuminati and those type of secret society people, right? Which is not very surprising. But then there is Ganymede here as well, right? So I'm just going to show you this here. Ganymede, the asteroid Ganymede, which is named after some mythological figure in the Greek mythology who was the symbol of gay love. He was abducted by the gods who wanted to engage in gay sex with him because, the Greek mythology is already pretty full of stories of this type, but amongst all of those stories, Ganymede is really the one that has the most iconic importance in the entire Greek mythology. And that asteroid, it stands as well on the Pluto, which is in the seventh. So the dark desires and the powerful relations that exist with certain partners, right? So this is the image that we see here in this constellation. Now, in addition to this, we also have here Venus. So Venus is your relationships and your general relationship behavior, and that's with the asteroid A Christo, which stands for Antichrist, and the Mars here with Asmodeus. Asmodeus is the lord of demons and the lord of prostitution, or the exchange of sex for money, or the exchange of sex for power, basically. That's what Asmodeus stands for, is a demon lord, is already in the Bible mentioned, and in some of the apocryphal writings. Asmodeus is with Mars, exactly with Mars, also in the seventh and going into eight. All right, so when we put these archetypal images together, we get a more fuller picture of the dark side of this personality or of this soul as it has intended to incarnate in this current incarnation. Now, let's move on to Michelle Obama and see if we have some confirmations there in her chart. Okay, so in Michelle Obama's chart, we can see the person who has a very powerful magical aura with the Pluto-Uranus here in opposition to Venus and Moon, who's going to be very popular with women especially, but in general just having this very charming and magical magnetic aura. And the Mercury is in here as well, which adds that tone of the great communicator and the great speaker, even though with her, it's not that speaker on the stage like Barack, because, this is a Capricorn, Mercury, so the communication is always going to be kind of matter of fact and kind of, serious. It's always going to have that serious tone to it, but still, right? She's going to be a very gifted communicator with the Mercury being in this constellation as part of this magnetic aura, and she's a fighter, obviously, too, right? She can take and hit as well in equal measures. But now looking at the asteroids again to add more depth, some of the asteroids that are very prominently constellated with this Pluto-Uranus here, and again, Pluto-Uranus is actually, you always see that with people who they go through very massive changes in their life, and they're part of these kind of very revolutionary transformations of society, which, bring them into completely unexpected positions, oftentimes positions of power, right? And she's kind of totally caught up in that with her whole soul and her emotions with the moon Venus being in that constellation. But here with the Pluto, you've got the asteroid Sappho. So Sappho in the Greek mythology is the icon of lesbianism. She was a poet on the island of Lesbos, and she's known for the odes to Aphrodite and to female beauty and sexuality as experienced from the perspective of the same sex relationship. And Sappho is here with Pluto. So Pluto is, again, the dark desire and the power. And Baal is here too. So Baal is a asteroid that stands for another demon, a demonic force. Baal is actually an ancient Hebrew demon name, which is also sometimes interchangeably used for Satan, but it's actually a separate demonic entity. Namely, it's one that stands for archetypically for oppression, or dark oppression. And in addition to that, you got here with her Venus and Moon, the asteroid Clytemnestra. Clytemnestra, you see here? So Clytemnestra is in the mythology the wife of the king Agamemnon in Troja, who killed her husband, who conspired against her husband for power, basically. And it stands mythologically and archetypically, it stands for using the spouse for power, for the purpose of gaining power, right? And that's constellated here as well in this constellation where you have Sappho and Baal. And lastly, on her North Node, which is what you manifest for society, right? And this is constellating together with her Mercury. So what she talks about and what she, openly talks about and presents in communication and written and spoken form. You got here the asteroid Fantomas. In Fantomas, it stands for the charlatan, betrayal, the charlatan, deception. It's actually a figure from the literature which stands for these themes. And all of this here falls on the star Sirius, which is here as well. It's not shown here, but which makes this constellation especially important, and especially important for the United States of America. United States of America is ruled by Sirius, the star Sirius. So keep in mind, what I've shown you here is merely to show you some of the aspects that these people that we looked at, they will have to integrate into their story as they are manifesting in this lifetime, right? Because those are parts of the decisions that their souls have already made are going to be part of their stories. And it's also to do with the past karma. And it's a long story to explain that fully. We're probably going to do this in future videos where I'm going to tell you how karma and the laws of incarnation work together with free will, which is both absolutely true. It's not one or the other. They're both true. Anybody who tells you that only one is true hasn't fully understood the secret operations of the universe, the cosmic, theosophical, and cosmosophical laws of existence. So now I'm going to let you put the puzzle pieces together for yourself about the rumors, which ones of those are true, which ones are not, what could be true, in what ways could they be true. This is not something that I'm necessarily going to spell out for you, but I will show you one more thing, and that's the chart of their daughter, Malia Obama, who is now an adult person, so it's fair game and it's fine to show a chart. If it's a child, it's not something that you should do, but she's not a child anymore. So when we look at the chart of Malia Obama, we're going to see here that, and we have a time for her, which is pretty good. So we know the time that she was born. We have all the houses, they're correct. And you're going to see here in her chart that she has a Neptune and Uranus, right, in the fourth house. Neptune in the fourth house. So Neptune, right, in the fourth house is your parents, is your origin, is your roots, is the family you come from. And when you have Neptune in the fourth house, that typically means that either, right, Neptune is what? Is deception, confusion, right? Kind of the ephemeral, the fog that you get lost in, and, right, that shows things differently than what they are, right? So Neptune in the fourth house typically means either that the parents could be artists, or they could be very nebulous people that are never there, or you don't know who they are, or they could be involved with drugs, or there could be some lies and deceptions around who they are. Maybe you don't know who they are. Maybe the story that's presented is not the real story about who they are, right? All of this is possible with Neptune in 4, specifically because you got here the Saturn. You see Saturn is square the Neptune, right? So Saturn square means that there is some hard, difficult karma and hard, difficult karmic lessons involved with this nebulous nature of the parents, right? And here the Mercury is opposed too. So Mercury in opposition, right? And Mercury is in the 10th house. So this Mercury in the 10th house is what you publicly present to the world, right? And that stands in opposition to the Neptune, right? So what's publicly presented in the world is somehow in a large tension to this confusion or nebulous kind of nature of who the parents really are. And then there is this hard karmic burden involved with this as well, right? This is definitely something that's going to be burdensome for her, very burdensome for her, not easy, right? All right, so that's another piece of the puzzle that I'm going to leave you with, right? You can put the puzzle pieces together for yourself. The astrology doesn't lie about the decisions that souls make together with the Creator who assigns us in our place, right? There's an interplay of free will and karma, which always brings us into our place. And once people learn to read the charts better, we will have an ability to decode a lot of the mysteries a lot of the deceptions, a lot of the falsehoods that still currently exist in our world, because we are living in a time of deception. We're living in a time in which the forces of deception have a lot of power. They're controlling a lot of the channels, they're controlling a lot of the messages and narratives. And being on the side of truth necessitates from you to learn to read and appreciate the signs of God, because the universe is full of signs, the cosmos is full of signs. Everything is a sign of God if you learn to read it, and the stars more so than everything else. Now, if you like these insights that I just shared with you here, do make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and like this video to get the algorithm to boost things more and get some more action on this channel, which is still fairly new, so that we can make sure that the word goes out and more people start to learn and decode the truth about our times. And let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next, if there's other mysteries or other stories that are unclear right now, which you'd like to shine the light of astrology on, and we can do this together in the coming videos. I look forward to this journey together. Until the next time, be well.